There comes a time in a woman's life when everything she thought was solid cracks. Not because she failed, but because her old life can no longer contain who she's becoming. That moment doesn't arrive with fireworks or applause. It often comes as silence, as loss, as endings that hurt too much to explain. The marriage that fades, the friendship that falls away, the version of herself that no longer fits. It comes as a night she cries alone, wondering why everything that once made sense now feels foreign. But what she doesn't know yet is that her soul is dismantling the life built from survival to make space for a life built from truth. This is the rebirth. And it begins the day she stops asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and starts whispering, "What is this trying to teach me?" Every woman who's ever risen has passed through this fire, the breaking, the surrender, the sacred unraveling of what no longer serves her. Because rebirth doesn't start with light, it starts with ashes. She was taught to fear the dark, to avoid the endings, to keep smiling, keep giving, keep pretending. But one day, the pretending becomes too heavy. Her body begins to ache for honesty. Her heart can no longer carry the weight of everything unspoken, and the universe, in its quiet mercy, takes away everything that isn't meant for her next chapter. It's brutal, yes, but it's also holy. Because before every awakening, there's always a breaking. She doesn't know this yet. All she knows is that she's exhausted from holding it all together, from being strong when she wanted to be soft, from smiling when she wanted to scream, from pouring love into people who never learned how to pour it back, so she collapses, not in weakness, but in truth. And that collapse is sacred. It's the body's way of saying, it's time to stop surviving. It's time to start living. At first, rebirth looks like ruin. It looks like losing everything. It feels like failure. But underneath the wreckage, something ancient is stirring. The real self, the one she buried under obligation and fear. Pain becomes her teacher. Grief becomes her guide. And slowly, she begins to see the gift inside the devastation. Because what is pain, if not transformation in disguise? It's the soul expanding, demanding a bigger life, a truer voice, a freer heart. So she begins the slow, silent work of resurrection, not rebuilding what was, but building what's true. She no longer asks to be saved. She saves herself, not with anger, but with clarity. Not by closing her heart, but by finally listening to it. She learns to sit in silence without needing to fill it. She learns to cry without apology. She learns that solitude isn't emptiness. It's where the sacred voice inside her speaks the loudest. This is where power begins, not in control, but in surrender, in the willingness to face the darkness and trust that she can survive it. Because she will. She always does. Every scar becomes a map. Every tear becomes a seed. And from that soil of pain, something magnificent begins to grow. At first, the world doesn't notice. Rebirth happens quietly. No one applauds a woman rebuilding her spirit in the dark. No one sees her choosing peace over drama or solitude over fake company. But she knows. Every boundary she sets, every truth she speaks, every night she chooses to rest instead of chase, is an act of revolution. She no longer begs for love. She becomes it. She no longer fights to be seen. She witnesses herself. She no longer fears endings. She trusts beginnings, because now she knows everything she loses on the path to peace was never truly hers. The world taught her to equate pain with weakness. But she has learned that pain is the birth canal of wisdom. Every contraction of the soul brings her closer to her essence. She no longer asks, "When will it stop hurting?" She asks, "What is this pain sculpting in me?" And the answer is always strength, depth, grace. She becomes unrecognizable, not because she changed who she was, but because she finally became who she always hid. Her laughter sounds different now, softer, real. Her eyes hold storms and sunlight in the same glance. Her voice, once careful, now carries conviction. She's no longer chasing validation. She's chasing truth. Rebirth doesn't mean her life becomes easy. It means she finally stops betraying herself to make it easier for others. It means she chooses alignment over approval. It means she's willing to lose people if it means finding peace. She begins to see endings not as punishment, but as invitations to begin again. Wisely this time. Her priorities shift. Peace becomes her luxury, energy becomes her currency, authenticity becomes her language. She becomes allergic to anything that costs her inner calm. And suddenly, life starts rearranging itself to match her vibration. The wrong people drift away. The right ones appear, quietly, effortlessly. Not because she chased them, but because she finally stopped blocking what was meant for her. She looks at her scars differently now. They no longer embarrass her. They remind her she's lived. They remind her she survived. They remind her that she's no longer the woman who needed saving. She's the woman who became her own sanctuary. And the most beautiful thing about her rebirth is that she doesn't even realize how powerful she's become. Because real power doesn't announce itself. It simply exists. Grounded, calm, magnetic. It's in the way she walks into a room without shrinking. In the way she speaks with softness, yet everyone listens. In the way she smiles, not to please, but because she's free. One morning, she wakes up and feels something unfamiliar. Stillness. Not the stillness of emptiness, but of peace. The war inside her is over. She no longer craves chaos to feel alive. She no longer needs to prove her worth. She no longer seeks closure from those who broke her. She's too busy building what's next. And in that moment, she understands. Healing isn't about going back to who she was. It's about remembering who she's been all along. There's a kind of glow that no beauty product can create. It comes from the heart that's been through hell and still loves anyway. From the woman who's walked through fire and no longer fears the flames. Because now she knows. The fire was never meant to burn her. It was meant to forge her. She walks differently now. Not faster, not louder, just lighter. She moves with intention. She chooses with intuition. She trusts herself completely. Because she earned that trust in the ashes. Rebirth isn't glamorous. It's not a before and after picture. It's nights of doubt, mornings of courage, and 1,000 small choices that no one claps for. It's saying no to what drains you, and yes to what restores you, over and over again. It's learning that forgiveness doesn't mean reunion. It's understanding that solitude can be healing, not punishment. It's realizing that love doesn't always mean staying. Sometimes it means letting go. And through it all, she keeps rising, slowly, steadily, silently, until one day she looks back and can't even find the woman who once begged for scraps of peace. Because now, she is peace. The woman who has been reborn doesn't seek revenge. She seeks understanding. She doesn't want to win arguments. She wants to win her life back. She no longer prays for easy days. She prays for strength and clarity. She no longer fears being misunderstood. She'd rather be real than relatable. And that's the freedom pain gives her. The freedom to be fully herself. Now she uses her voice differently. Not to convince, but to create. Not to defend, but to declare. She tells her story not for sympathy, but for liberation. Because every time a woman speaks her truth, she gives another woman permission to do the same. Her presence heals others without her even trying. Because when a woman is at peace with herself, she becomes a lighthouse, calm, grounded, luminous, guiding others home without ever leaving her place. This is the secret the world doesn't tell you about pain. It doesn't come to destroy you. It comes to introduce you to yourself. And when you finally meet that self, the one beneath the roles and the masks, you realize she was there all along, waiting for you to remember. The woman who rises from pain no longer sees life as something happening to her. She sees herself as the creator of it. Her joy is intentional. Her peace is chosen. Her boundaries are sacred. She doesn't chase love. She is love. She doesn't fear time. She walks with it. She doesn't dread aging. She celebrates becoming, because every wrinkle is wisdom, every scar is proof, every year is grace. And so she steps forward, not as who she was, but as who she became through the fire. She no longer needs to be strong all the time. She's allowed to rest, to soften, to feel. That's what real strength looks like. Softness without fear. Her rebirth is not about perfection. It's about wholeness. It's the quiet knowing that nothing she lost was meant to stay, and everything real will find her again, in better form, in better time. So, if you are listening to this and your world feels like it's falling apart, if you're standing in the ruins of a life you no longer recognize, wondering how to begin again, remember this. You are not breaking down. You are breaking open. You are not losing yourself. You are being reborn. The pain you feel is proof that something greater is waiting to emerge. Let it. Don't rush it. Don't shame it. Honor it. Because one day you will look back on this moment, the tears, the loneliness, the silence, and realize it was the exact place where you became who you were always meant to be. That's the rebirth. Not in the light that follows the darkness, but in the courage to stand inside the darkness and still choose to grow. And when you do, nothing and no one will ever have power over you again, because you have already walked through fire and found yourself on the other side, alive, radiant, reborn.